If you've ever been to London, you know it's supposed to be packed. Piccadilly Circus shoulder to shoulder, Oxford Street buzzing with shoppers, the Tube crammed during rush hour, but something's changed. Walk through central London on a weekday afternoon now, and it feels different, quieter, almost eerie. I started noticing it myself over the past year, so I decided to talk to the people who work here every day, the ones who see it firsthand. What they told me was pretty surprising. I met Sarah outside a coffee shop near Covent Garden. She's worked in hospitality for 8 years, and she's never seen it like this. "We used to have queues out the door at lunchtime," she said. "Now we're lucky if we're half full." She pointed down the street where a couple of shops had recently closed, their windows papered over with "To Let" signs. It's not just her place, it's everywhere. The foot traffic just isn't there anymore. Over at Leicester Square, I spoke with Marcus, who runs a souvenir shop. He's been there for 15 years, back when tourists would flood in every single day. 2019 was our best year ever, he told me. Then COVID hit and we thought it would bounce back, but it hasn't, not even close. His sales are down about 4% compared to pre-pandemic levels. He's had to cut staff and reduce his inventory. The shop that used to stay open until 10 p.m. now closes at 6 p.m. because there's just no point staying open longer. What's interesting is that this isn't just about one area or one type of business. From Zone 1 all the way out to the suburbs, people are noticing the same thing. Fewer commuters, fewer tourists, fewer shoppers. The city that never stops has hit pause, and nobody seems to know exactly when or if it'll start up again. So what's actually going on? Well, the reasons are more complicated than you might think. Let's talk money. London has always been expensive, but it's reached a whole new level. I met with James, a bartender in Shoreditch, and he broke it down for me. A pint is £7.18 in some places now. A decent meal out? You're looking at £20 minimum per person, and that's before drinks. He sees it every night. People come in, look at the menu, and leave. They're not just being cheap. They literally can't afford it anymore. The numbers back this up. Train fares into London have gone up significantly. A peak return from Brighton to London can cost over £35. From Manchester, over £150. And that's just getting here. Once you arrive, you're paying £15 for a Zone 1 6-day travel card. Hotel rooms in central London average £200 a night, sometimes much more during peak season. For a family of 4 doing a weekend trip, you're easily spending £1,000 before you've even done anything fun. I spoke with Rachel, who manages a hotel near King's Cross. "We've had to drop our prices just to fill rooms," she said. "Even then, we're running at about 60% occupancy midweek." She showed me her booking system. Where there used to be solid blocks of reservations, now there are gaps, lots of them. International tourists are still coming, but the domestic market has collapsed. British families who used to come up to London for weekends just aren't doing it anymore. The cost of living crisis hit London workers hard too. Energy bills, rent, food, it's all gone up. That means less disposable income for everyone. People who live in London aren't going out as much. People outside London aren't visiting. And the workers themselves? Many of them have left the city entirely because they can't afford to live here anymore. It's a vicious cycle that's emptying out the capital from multiple directions at once. This one's huge, and it's changed London forever. I met with David, who's been a taxi driver for 22 years. Monday through Thursday used to be my bread and butter, he told me. Office workers going to meetings, heading to lunch, catching trains home. Now, it's dead. He's had to start working weekends and late nights just to make what he used to earn in 4 days. The numbers are stark. Before COVID, about 1.2 million people commuted into central London every single day. Now, it's hovering around 800,000. That's 400,000 fewer people in the city every day. They're not coming in because they don't have to. Hybrid working has become the norm. Most companies now do 2 or 3 days in the office maximum, and some have gone fully remote. I visited Canary Wharf on a Wednesday afternoon, traditionally one of the busiest times. The towers are still there, obviously, but the streets felt half empty. I spoke with Michelle, who works at a sandwich shop that used to have massive lunchtime queues. "We've closed 3 of our locations," she said. "The demand just isn't there anymore. These office workers, they're making lunch at home now." The impact ripples out everywhere. Fewer commuters means less money for transport for London. The Tube is running at about 75% of pre-pandemic passenger levels. That's created a massive funding gap. It also means all the businesses that relied on office workers, the cafes, the dry cleaners, the gyms, the after-work pubs, they're all struggling. Some have closed permanently. What's interesting is that this isn't temporary. Companies have realized they can save money on office space. Employees have realized they prefer working from home. The 5-day office week isn't coming back. That means London as a business hub needs to completely reinvent itself, and it's not clear what that looks like yet. You'd think tourism would have bounced back by now, but it hasn't. Not fully. I spoke with Antonio, who's been a tour guide for 12 years, taking groups around Westminster, the Tower of London, and all the classic spots. 2023 was supposed to be the recovery year, he said, but I'm still only doing about 60% of the tours I used to do. The Chinese tourist market, which was absolutely massive before COVID, has basically disappeared. Chinese visitors to the UK are down over 80% compared to 2019. These were big spending tourists too, the ones who'd book private tours, stay in nice hotels, shop on Bond Street. That market is gone, and nobody knows if or when it's coming back. European tourists are still coming, but fewer of them. Brexit made things more complicated. The pound has fluctuated wildly, sometimes making London very expensive for European visitors. And there are more options now. Paris, Barcelona, Rome, they're all competing harder for those same tourists. London used to be the default European city break. That's not true anymore. I visited the British Museum on a Tuesday morning. It was open, people were there, but it wasn't packed like it used to be. I spoke with one of the security guards who's worked there for 15 years. You used to have to control the crowds, he said. Now you can actually walk through the galleries comfortably. That sounds nice, but it's not a good sign for the city. The tourism infrastructure is struggling. Bus tour companies have reduced routes. Some hotels have converted to student accommodation or offices. Restaurants that relied on tourist crowds have shut down. The theater district is doing okay, but even there, midweek shows often have empty seats. London's appeal as a must-visit destination has somehow diminished, and that's costing the city billions in lost revenue. Oxford Street used to be one of the busiest shopping streets in Europe. Now it's got more empty storefronts than I've ever seen. I walked the entire length from Marble Arch to Tottenham Court Road, and I counted at least 20 closed shops. Some have been empty for over a year. I spoke with Linda, who's managed a clothing store there for 9 years. Online shopping killed us, she said bluntly. COVID just accelerated what was already happening. The statistics are brutal. Retail foot traffic in central London is down about 30% compared to 2019. That's not a temporary dip. That's a fundamental shift in how people shop. Why come into London, pay for travel, fight the crowds when you can order the same thing online and have it delivered tomorrow? The convenience factor has completely changed the game, but it's not just about online shopping. The shops that are closing aren't being replaced by new shops. They're becoming American candy stores, which are everywhere now, and apparently some kind of money laundering operation according to local speculation. Or they're becoming vape shops, or they just stay empty. The big anchor stores like Debenhams and Topshop are gone. Those were the destinations that brought people in. I visited Westfield in Shepherd's Bush, one of Europe's largest shopping centers. It was a Thursday afternoon, and it felt maybe 4% full. I spoke with Tom, who works in a tech store there. Weekends are still okay, he said, but Monday through Friday is painful. We stand around most of the day. His store used to have 6 staff members on shift. Now it's 2. The luxury sector in Mayfair and Knightsbridge is hanging on better, but even there the vibe has changed. Fewer tourists with Harrods bags, fewer chauffeur-driven cars outside Bond Street boutiques. The middle market, the everyday shopping that sustained London retail for decades, that's collapsing. I spent a morning at King's Cross Station talking to transport workers, and what they told me was eye-opening. Peter's been a station supervisor for 18 years. The morning rush hour used to be chaos, he said. Now it's manageable. That should be good, but it means the system is operating way below capacity. That's a financial disaster. Transport for London is losing roughly $500 million a year compared to pre-pandemic levels. Fewer passengers means less fare revenue. The government has had to step in with emergency funding multiple times, but that can't continue forever. Eventually, tough decisions have to be made, and those decisions affect everyone in London. Bus routes have already been cut. Some routes that ran every 5 minutes now come every 10 or 15. Night bus services have been reduced. Tube frequency during off-peak hours has decreased. These changes make London less accessible, which creates a negative feedback loop. If public transport becomes less convenient, even fewer people want to come into the city. I rode the Elizabeth line from Paddington to Liverpool Street during what should have been rush hour. The train was maybe half full. I sat next to Margaret, who commutes in twice a week for her job in finance. "I used to come in every day," she said. "But honestly, why would I? I can do the same work from home, save £50 a week on travel, and get 2 hours of my life back." She's not wrong, but multiply her decision by hundreds of thousands of workers and you see the problem. The taxi and Uber drivers are suffering too. Every single driver I spoke with said the same thing. Earnings are down, competition is up, and there aren't enough passengers to go around. Some have given up and left the industry entirely. The ones who remain are working longer hours for less money, which isn't sustainable long term. London's restaurant scene used to be world class. It still is in some ways, but the industry is on its knees. I met with Carlos, who's been a chef for 15 years and has worked in some of London's best-known restaurants. "We're hemorrhaging staff," he said. "People are leaving the industry because they can't afford to live here on hospitality wages." The numbers are staggering. London has lost over 2,000 restaurants and bars since 2020. That's not just small independents. Chain restaurants have closed multiple locations. Even Michelin-starred places have struggled. The problem is multifaceted. Rising rents, increased food costs, staff shortages, and fewer customers. It's a perfect storm. I visited Borough Market on a Saturday, traditionally one of the busiest times. It was decent, but vendors told me it's nothing like it used to be. "Tourists aren't coming in the same numbers," one vendor said. "And Londoners are watching their spending. People buy one thing instead of 3. They skip the expensive cheese and go for the cheaper option." Pubs are closing at an alarming rate, too. I spoke with Jenny, who's run a pub in Hackney for 12 years. "We used to be packed Thursday through Saturday," she said. "Now we're lucky to be half full. People are drinking at home. It's cheaper, and with streaming services, they're not missing out on much." Her pub is surviving, but barely. She's had to cut staff hours and increase prices, which just drives more customers away. The evening economy has been particularly hit. West End theaters are doing okay with big shows, but the restaurants around them aren't seeing the pre-theater and post-theater crowds they used to. People are being more selective. They'll see the show but skip dinner out. That's thousands of pounds not being spent in the local economy every single night. I spent weeks talking to workers across London, and certain themes kept coming up. There's a sense of abandonment. Emma works in a newsagent near Victoria Station. "The government doesn't care about London workers," she said. "They're too focused on everywhere else. But when London suffers, the whole country suffers." She's not wrong. London generates about 23% of the UK's entire GDP. When London's economy struggles, it impacts everyone. There's also frustration about crime and cleanliness. Multiple workers mentioned feeling less safe. "The streets are dirtier," said Paul, who's driven a bus for 25 years. "There's more antisocial behavior. People notice that. It makes London less appealing." Reduced council budgets mean less frequent cleaning, fewer police on the streets, and a general decline in the urban environment. But what struck me most was the pessimism. Almost everyone I spoke with believes things will get worse before they get better. "I don't see how this turns around." "Quickly," said Jasmine, who works in a department store. "The fundamental economics have changed. We can't just wish our way back to 2019. Some workers are adapting. I met Hassan, who used to work in a restaurant but now does food delivery full-time. "The work is there if you're flexible," he said, "but it's more precarious. No sick pay, no benefits. You're just a number in an app." The gig economy has absorbed some of the job losses, but it's created a different set of problems. There's also a generational divide. Older workers remember when London was thriving and want that back. Younger workers have only known the struggling version and are looking elsewhere. "Why would I stay in London?" asked a 24-year-old barista I spoke with. "I can't afford to buy property here. I can barely afford to rent. Other cities offer better quality of life for less money. That brain drain is real, and it's accelerating. So where does London go from here? The truth is, nobody really knows. I spoke with urban planners, business owners, and policy experts, and there's no consensus. Some believe London will reinvent itself, becoming less of a commuter hub and more of a residential and cultural city. Others think the decline is permanent, that London's golden age is behind it. There are attempts to bring people back. The mayor's office has initiatives to support high streets. Some businesses are experimenting with shorter hours or lower prices. The City of London Corporation has launched campaigns to encourage office workers to return at least 3 days a week. But these feel like Band-Aids on a much bigger wound. The fundamental economic realities have shifted. Hybrid work isn't going away. Online shopping isn't going away. The cost of living crisis isn't going away soon. I spoke with an economist who specializes in urban development, and she painted an interesting picture. London needs to become a 15-minute city, she said, where people live, work, and play in their local neighborhoods rather than commuting into the center. That means transforming Zone 1 from a business district into a mixed-use area, converting empty offices into homes, turning failed retail spaces into community centers, health clinics, or creative studios. It's happening in some places already, but it's slow and expensive. The competition is also fiercer now. Manchester, Birmingham, and Edinburgh are all investing heavily in their city centers. They're attracting businesses and residents who might have automatically chosen London a decade ago. Why pay London prices when you can have a better quality of life elsewhere? That's the question more people are asking, and London doesn't have a great answer yet. What's clear is that London can't be what it was in 2019. That version of the city is gone. The question is, what replaces it? Will empty office buildings become apartments? Will shopping streets transform into community spaces? Will restaurants and bars find new business models? These transitions take time, and in the meantime, thousands of workers are caught in limbo. Some sectors might actually benefit from the changes. I spoke with Elena, who runs a creative co-working space in Peckham. We're fully booked, she said. People still want community and collaboration, that they just don't want the traditional office. Maybe the future of London work looks more like that. Distributed hubs across different neighborhoods rather than everyone cramming into the center. Tourism might evolve too. Rather than the big coach tour crowds hitting the same 10 attractions, maybe London becomes a destination for longer, more exploratory visits. People staying in different neighborhoods, experiencing the city like locals do. That requires a different infrastructure, though, and significant investment. I'll leave you with something Peter, the station supervisor, told me. London's been through worse, he said. The Blitz, the financial crisis, terrorism. We've always come back. But it's never the same city that comes back. It's always something different. Maybe that's what we're seeing now. Not the death of London, but the painful birth of whatever comes next. For the workers I spoke with, life goes on. They show up, do their jobs, and hope things improve. But the optimism that used to define London, that sense that anything was possible here, that's what's really gone missing. And out of everything, that might be the hardest thing to bring back. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.